Hey everyone, I'm Lou Perez, your host of the Builder Upper Show, a podcast where we talk about everything in construction and trades. Now let's get into it. I would like to welcome our guest, Jeret Whitescarver from Engineered Structures, Inc., ESI. Hey Jarret, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Lou. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm a little tired.
Good.
Jarret decided to wake me up at 4:30 a.m. this morning to go for an almost 4-mile run, but I'm hanging in there. I might have some bags under my eyes, but well worth it. Definitely needed it. I was at that point in time to get a run in, especially after having a big dinner last night. Yeah. So it was worth it. Jarret, you know, we're in a beautiful building here in Meridian, Idaho. And a little background, actually, I was born in Idaho, in Weiser, Idaho. Not a lot of people know that, and it's about an hour 15 from here. I was lucky enough to go and visit my mom when I flew in. She was pleasantly surprised, and you know, it's really great being back in my home state. And then I never came here in a time where ESI was planted, but the building that we're in right now is absolutely beautiful. And I would love to know, what's the history of ESI?
Yeah, we've been around for 52 years. And, we started out by building small potato sheds and then grew from there. And we have a CEO, Neil Nelson, who just has a great vision, and he's casted that vision throughout the organization. And from there, it grew into the retail world. We got into retail construction. And then obviously started working here more in the Valley and commercial. And now we've expanded to industrial, water, federal work, government work overseas, still in the retail world, grocery, and community living. So we've just really expanded our network of opportunities throughout the country. So we're licensed in 42 states.
Wow.
And we work pretty much all over the world right now with our government work as well. So and this building, we moved in here in October 2nd of 2024, and it's just been a great building for us. It allowed us to expand and continue to grow our organization. Again, this was a Citibank building before, and Neil walked through it and saw what you see now when nobody else could, and it's really become a great space for us, and it's a great opportunity for us to bring new employees and it's definitely a marketing tool for us to have employees come and see what they could get to come to work in every day. And we have a gym, we have a great cafe, and it's just a great facility. So we're really, really fortunate that we have it.
So you're saying we could have just worked out in the gym instead of going off on the beaten path?
Yeah, well, we were hoping to see some of the beautiful trails of Boise, but it was a little foggy this morning.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was good, cool, brisk run.
It was nice. It was nice. So as far as the leadership, so you mentioned Neil. Yeah. Maybe we could unpack him a little bit. Can you tell me, what is it like working for Neil and the leadership team here at ESI?
Yeah. I think that one great thing about Neil is he's obsessed with perfection, and while we're working towards perfection, we'll find excellence. And that's really what we're about, and really focused on everyone succeeding together. Dallas Fontenot, she's our Chief People Officer. And then we have Michael Kimmel, our Chief Legal Officer, Jan Eric Peterson, Senior Vice President. And then we have 5 Executive Vice Presidents that are directly related with the ESI group. We also have some other holding companies that we have acquired and also vertically integrated through the organization over the last 10, 15, 25 years. And so there's leadership within those groups as well. We're all here in this office, fortunately, which has been great. And that was one of Neil's visions, is to get everybody back into one facility, one location where we can work together and walk down the hall and have a conversation and not have to get in a truck and drive somewhere or jump on a Teams call, which has really helped improve the FaceTime and building culture, which another piece that has made us so successful is the culture here, and the culture to succeed together and really work together and support each other. We have what we call the 3 Ds: dedicated, dependable, and dynamic. And this building has helped us to continue to foster that 3D culture and help us to grow with our customers and grow with our employees and grow within our communities that we're working.
I noticed when I walked in the front door, something that really stood out was there was a lot of smiling faces.
Yeah.
I could tell that the people that are working here were really happy. And I mean, you have like a full restaurant set up downstairs. It looks like, I mean, of course, you mentioned gym, and you have all these ways that people can just go grab some food and eat real quick and stay within the building and make it super easy and convenient for the workers, which is really nice. And I feel like it would make a huge difference. So, do you feel like that contributes to the culture? Is that something that you just look at daily as far as like how you're contributing to the current employees, is focusing on the positive culture?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm fortunate to be a part of it. I think that, again, coming back to the leadership and what this didn't come with a lot of hard work and effort, right? And a lot of hard work and effort before me and before everybody else that really works here right now. And I think that it's we're all blessed because of the hard work that people have put in and where we are today as an organization. And it came from strategic planning and a vision that Neil and the team has really focused on and growing each step. So, and now we get to reap some of those benefits and continue to have a great facility and be able to expand our business and focus on new areas that we wouldn't have, 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And this has definitely helped that. I mean, this studio that we're in is a great example of something that we didn't have 10 years ago. And now we get to do podcasts and we get to present from here to our field, which is extremely helpful to be able to connect with them on a regular basis. So it's all part of the plan and all part of the growth and all part of the opportunity for us to continue to make an impact on the communities that we're working in.
You have amazing people working here, and not everybody gets shout outs when they're working behind the scenes to make things happen. Like even the production team that's putting on this podcast right now, David back there, that's flipping the screens back and forth, is doing an amazing job. You have top tier talent that's working here. And the only way that top tier talent comes in is by having that positive culture that you guys have built. And even to get us to this point of being on the podcast, you have an amazing person like Lily that's project managing the day and schedules and making sure everybody's doing what they need to do. And I feel like, do you see an entrepreneurial spirit within the employees that are here?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we really foster, is the autonomy for you to grow and become what you want to become here. I would say, I'll steal it from one of our peer group companies that we get to work with. They said that we're in the business of building people, and buildings are a result of those people being built.
Oh, nice.
And so I think that that's so true, and that's what we are doing, is we're focusing on the legacies of individuals while building the legacy of ESI. And we talk about what is ESI's legacy often and how that's so important to where we're headed. And this is the results of us continuing to focus on building our legacy and building our legacy in the community, building our legacy as an organization, and the entrepreneurial spirit of individuals that work here, building their own legacy with their family and their friends.
Wow. The background on ESI is so cool.
Yeah.
So, Jarret, pivot to you. When did you get into construction?
Yeah. So I have a picture of me when I was 6 months old, sitting on a dozer, and my dad's operating the dozer and I'm taking a nap. So
awesome.
Some would say, I've been in my whole life, and I really have. My grandfather and my great grandfather were all in construction, and my wife's family is all in construction. Her dad was in construction. Her grandpa was in construction. So I've really been around it my entire life. I remember, leaving basketball games and football games and baseball games, and my dad saying, "All right, you're coming with me. We're going to a job site," and me either sitting in a truck or on a piece of equipment with him while he was running equipment or working. So it's really been a part of who I am, and it's not what I necessarily wanted to do my whole life. I wanted to be a firefighter and went to school and got a degree in risk, safety, and health management and communication. And then while I was trying to test and get hired with the fire department, my dad said, you should come into construction and help me and work with me. So I did. And then the market crashed in 2008. I was fortunate enough to get into the oil and gas industry, and I was newly married to my lovely wife, Julie. And we started traveling and chasing the pipeline and did that for almost 10 years.
Wow.
And traveled all over the country, which was a great experience and learned a ton. After that, we moved to Boise, and I was traveling still, essentially flying out on Mondays and flying back on Fridays. And we had our second son, Jace, and my oldest son, Jackson, who's 13. My youngest is 10. And my wife said, it's time to plant some roots. And that's when I started looking around the valley here to find the best company. Met Neil and his brother, Nels. Was fortunate to get the opportunity to come work here and have enjoyed it ever since. So,
man, there's so much to unpack there. I mean, you wanted to be a firefighter. Where did that come from?
Yeah. Growing up, my dad's hunting partners were all firefighters.
Oh,
and so
okay.
I'd go to hunting camp with them and started talking to them and talking about their careers and really how much time they got off to go and spend time hunting. So I thought, that I might want to do that.
It's a sweet setup.
Yeah. And so I did it all through college.
Okay.
And then I also did wildland firefighting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I moved from wildland firefighting and got my EMT certification, was volunteering for a local fire department. So that's really what inspired it and wanted to get into that industry. And, here I am. I don't regret it. I love what I do and get to make an influence and impact on people in a positive way with what we get to do and what we build and the lives that we get to invest in. So
that's pretty cool. So like the firefighter background, I'm sure the skills that you learned, they don't go to waste. I'm sure if anything were to happen, everybody's going to call Jarret now. So I wanted to talk to you more about like your family, and you said that you chased the oil and gas and you were going everywhere. What does that even look like? Are you just like all over the place on a plane all the time? Are you driving all the time? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was a really rich time. My wife and I were newly married, and we both grew up in Washington State, not far from each other.
Okay.
We met when we were 15, and we were just friends until we got into our early 20s and started dating. So we had lived in that area pretty much our whole lives, and when I got the opportunity to go work on the oil and gas industry, we moved to California, and then we were in Wyoming for a little while, back to Washington, pretty much all over Ohio, West Virginia. And I was fortunate enough that she would just come with me, and we would be on a job for anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Sometimes, if it was a short project, 3 weeks. Once we had our first son, we knew that we needed to start looking at settling down somewhere. We had a window of, say, 2 to 3 years to do that. And then when we had our second son, or we were about ready to have our second son, that's when we decided to settle down. And we moved to Boise. I knew about Boise because I had fought fires here in the summertime when I was in college, and the opportunity for mountain biking and outdoor recreation was phenomenal, which is why everybody in the United States wants to move here now. And we said this is where we want to raise our family. We're still, miss our parents that are both back in Washington. So my wife's parents are in Kirkland and my parents are in Snohomish. So we get back to Washington regularly to see them, but this is home now. I don't see us ever leaving Boise.
So you mentioned Kirkland. I probably would never know what Kirkland was if there wasn't Costco.
Yeah. Everybody knows Costco.
Yeah. So that's really neat. The Seattle roots. I'll be going to Seattle in a couple of weeks, and somebody told me to go take a picture of Pike something.
Yeah, Pike Place Market.
Pike. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll
get a picture with them throwing the fish.
Yeah. That'll be exciting. So the background of Washington, you're not supposed to tell people that Idaho's nice. You're supposed to say this place is terrible.
Yeah.
Don't come here. Don't it's cold.
Yeah.
There's snow every day. You can't get out of your driveway.
Especially it's 20 degrees out. It's not fun.
It's the worst.
I mean, you felt it this morning. This isn't
brutal.
Yeah, it's
brutal. So just don't move here.
And there's no snow to ski on, so why would you want to come
yeah,
here?
what a
right now?
waste.
So,
Yeah, what a waste. They'll have snow on the ground, but not in the mountains. That doesn't make any sense.
that's
No, I'm
right.
just kidding.
Yeah.
So you have two boys in construction, or now that you're in construction, do you ever show them the buildings that you guys have built or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of my greatest joys of working in construction is you get to see something that you were a part of. So we drive through town, or even when we're out of the state and we see something that ESI built, whether it be a grocery store or a retail store or commercial building or a community living multifamily apartment complex, we get to, say, oh, that got to be part of that. We drive by, going to our house, a apartment complex that's been under construction for about a year now, and it's got ESI signs on it. So they take great pride in it. They have ESI Carhartt lunch boxes that they bring to school. So yeah, they're very proud of the ESI brand and to be part of the ESI family. So yeah.
That's awesome. So then was your dad like that with you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anytime that I had the chance to put his hard hat on, or he used to have a Stanley coffee jug, like the old school ones. And I remember my mom would
Before they were popular.
Yeah, before they were popular. Yeah, before they became popular. My mom used to fill it up with hot chocolate. My brother and I would, go out in the backyard and we'd build something and drink some hot cocoa out of Dad's Stanley coffee cup. So, yeah, absolutely. I think construction is such a small industry.
Yeah.
And it's so family oriented. And I've shared this statistic before that, 40% of leadership in construction came through the trades. And really, if it wasn't for our field and our trade partners and the craft employees that are out there, nothing would get built, right? And Neil says, and others that work here often say, we still strip forms the same way that we did 100 years ago. And there's a lot of technology that's changing in the industry, and AI is definitely impacting that, as you know, with lumber.
Yep.
The reality of it is people are going to be needed, and the relationships are really what still build buildings. And if it wasn't for those relationships, we wouldn't have the building that we're in, the homes that we live in, the stores that we shop in. So it's still about the people. And it was 100 years ago. It was when my dad was in construction, and it still is today about the relationships and about the people.
It's really important. You're a pretty active guy. I've learned that today. And being a go-getter and getting things done. Of course, you're leading your family. And what's your inspiration every day?
Yeah. I mean, it really comes back to my family, my wife, first off. She's just
good answer, by the way.
Yeah. She's just incredible. She really is. And
Yeah.
she's always been a supporter for me. She's always been there. And I support her. And that's what makes it great is, when I was needing to travel, and that's what we had to do in order to put food on the table and pay the bills, she said, let's go. And when she said it's time to settle down and plant some roots in Boise, I said, let's go. So, it's a partnership. And then, of course, my boys, Jason, Jackson, I love being with them. I love seeing them grow, and I love seeing them become the humans that, they are, and what all the things that God has planned for them. And I'm really excited for their future. And again, it comes back to my legacy and what I get to share and leave behind. And without ESI, I wouldn't be able to do that. And without lumber, you wouldn't be able to do that for your family. So, in a lot of ways, we talk about a life-work balance. And for me, working and life is a balance.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it really is. I had a conversation yesterday with somebody, and it's kind of a joke, but there's 5 Mondays, there's Saturday, and then there's getting ready for Monday. And I don't say that in a negative way. I say that I get inspired by that, and I get excited. I like coming to work. And I was kind of discouraged that yesterday was Wednesday because I wanted 2 more days in the week that I could continue to work and catch up on things and continue to do things like this and work with people that I get to work with. I love coming to work. 90% or more of the people that I hang out with outside of work they work at ESI. and they have families and they're raising children, and we're going through life together. So it's not just about coming to work and getting your work done and going home. It's about doing life with each other, and that's really what it's about. So that's what inspires me, is the people that I get to work with. First and foremost, my wife and my kids, and then of course my faith. So
yeah, God has definitely blessed you, and you have your blessings, and it's amazing to see, what you've done. I totally agree. The support system from my wife, I wouldn't be where I'm at without her. And, you have to give them a shout out that they do so many things behind the scenes that nobody sees, and just give them recognition when you can. They definitely deserve it. So I'm with you, totally with you. So got to throw mine in there too.
Good.
So, transitioning over to ESI and, some of the projects that you guys have worked on, is there any standout projects that have been like iconic to ESI in the area, or something like people know that was ESI that did that, or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. 8th and Main here in Boise, that's a big one. I was not part of that, but there were a lot of people here in the organization today that were a huge part of that. That's kind of an iconic building for Boise, and has been the tallest building in the state for the longest time. Now it's Micron and what's going on out in the desert. And you've heard a lot of the, I'm sure, conversations about the chips and getting them back to the U.S. Yep. And so we're fortunate to be part of that, and we're building part of something that is making an impact and difference in our country. So that's pretty unique and special. Those are some that stand out here in the Valley. There's lots that we could drive around and I could show you that we've done, but those are two that stand out right now.
Man, and to pull off big projects like that, even going back to the people that you have working here to get it done. You guys have some cool content on LinkedIn and the videos out there. I even just Googled, like, when I was trying to find out, all right, what's the address to ESI? I got to go drive over there. And when Google pulls up, you get like a cool picture of the building that we're in right now. So I'm telling everybody, go Google right now, ESI. And then when you see it, the next piece that comes up is an actual like video. It's beautifully produced. I'm guessing that's you, David, in the background that made the video. It was so cool to see like everything that you guys are doing here, and the production, the LinkedIn social media that you guys push out there. Shout out to your marketing team. I think I bumped into them on the way into this room, but they crush it, and they make ESI look like, if you live in Idaho, you should be working at ESI. Like, go apply here, because this place is awesome. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And what does it look like for you guys in recruiting new people? And, do you guys have a careers page? Am I overshooting it, telling people to come work for you? And do you guys have job openings and stuff like that?
Yeah, we definitely have job openings.
Okay.
And we would love for applications and resumes to come in. You can go to our website and apply. And there's a link in there that you can go to. So www.esiconstruction.com, and there's a link in there you can apply. So a little bit about our groups and our divisions, and I'll back up to what we call Team ESI. So we are currently, working in this flywheel concept of what does that mean from Jim Collins' book Good to Great, and we've adapted that into ESI. And we have Team ESI, we have First Choice Customer Service. And then we have what we really, continue to focus on is developing and growing our revenue and profit so that we can be successful, and then operational infrastructure. Without any of those four things, the business doesn't function. And we have Team ESI at the top, as it should be. Our employees and who works here really drives our culture and drives to what we call first choice customer service to our customer. You mentioned marketing. First choice service expands more than just to our customer. It's also our support units and groups that are internally that aren't necessarily interfacing with our customer. Like marketing does not always necessarily interface with our customer. However, when you go to our website, you see what they do and their good work. When you Google us, you can see some of the videos on YouTube and their good work that they put into making us provide first choice service to our customer.
Wow.
So yeah, absolutely. Another piece of that on the Team ESI front is we have career opportunities. We have some great stories that I wish I could go through all of them, of individuals that started here 20, 15, or even 10 years ago as a laborer, worked their way up to a carpenter, a general foreman, a superintendent, a construction manager, division director. So when we talk about career advancement and opportunities, we have that, and we have those opportunities here at ESI. We have our ESI Academy that is launching essentially training and development for individuals that are here to continue your development as an individual, personally and professionally, through books, training, classes, courses, advancement. And we have a whole team that's supporting that, which, again, Team ESI helps us provide first choice customer service to our customers out that we get to work with and build for every day. So that's a little bit into our future and development of our resources and continuing to grow through applying and where you could go whether it's a laborer or a carpenter all the way up into a leadership role. We have electrical and refrigeration. We have our interiors. We have concrete, earthwork. Those are all part of our craft. And then we have superintendents that are out in the field that are building our team and building our projects for our customers in the field. We have our project management team as well that are out there working every day to support the field. We have a great program that I'm really excited about. We launched a couple of years ago called our Field Engineers program. And it really stemmed from another program called 6 Figures, No Suits, where we looked at how can we get really teens and students that are graduating from high school that may not want to go on to college and get them into construction and help them. In Idaho, we have what's called the Launch Program that our governor had launched a couple years ago, and that's essentially a grant or some tuition paid for to help you go onto a trades school or get into the trades. So we've adapted a piece of that into our own culture, which is the 6 Figures, No Suits, and it's advancing pretty quickly in getting people through the high school programs and directly into the trades and getting them to continue to work and grow into carpenters or into a journeyman electricians or get into refrigeration, and we can do that internally as well. So we're expanding what we would call vertical integration of those trades, and that's been really helpful and great and opens up new career opportunities and paths for the next generation of construction. So
we check the analytics of this podcast sometimes to see who's watching this podcast. And we have, we see a good majority, like there's a younger crowd that's watching this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a lot of interest, of students that are evaluating what is my future. 'Cause I mean, every parent and every family member of a teenager, when they come around the dinner table, so what do you want to do when you grow up? Or what do you want to do when you graduate? Those are, I remember when I was in high school, I mean, that's a thought that's just stuck in your head. What am I doing? Because you're going to school right now. You're working towards something. What is that going to be? Should a potential candidate that maybe hasn't even played around with building anything, and maybe they just think like, I'm not really, I haven't had, anybody that's really showed me how to swing a hammer or, do anything like that. But they have the capability and potential of being a builder. Would you encourage students that might have not have thought about construction and just say like, hey, listen, we'll show you a path in this academy. It is on the job training. You don't have to have experience of when you were younger that you've done it before. This is something that you can learn on the job, and we help you through it. I guess what I'm really asking you is, what does the academy do for these students that are interested in construction?
Yeah, I think, the answer is yes. If you have an interest in it, you should apply. And if you wanted to learn a little bit about yourself, you should try construction. And in the process of doing that, you'll make some great money. You'll get to work with some amazing people. Really, the backbone and the salt of our country. We don't have anything that we live or work in without construction, whether that's a grocery store or the house you live in or the building that you work out of. It had to be built by someone. So it's pretty neat to think about it from that perspective. And really the Academy is helping to launch and expedite that process for individuals that work here. And that it's not just necessarily for trades either. I think that's the other piece of construction that's so unique is you don't have to just be a builder. We have accounting, we have you mentioned marketing, we have human resource, we have business development. So there's a lot of parts and pieces that play into construction. You don't necessarily have to be out in the field or know much about how to build a building to get into construction. There's lots of opportunities. And that's really what the Academy is focused on, is getting the right people in the right spot so that they're successful, which will help us be successful as an organization. So the other piece, I touched a little bit about our field engineer program. That's another one that I think is great and so unique, is we're taking predominantly younger athletes or military people that have gotten out of serving our country, and they're trying to figure out what to do, and they have an interest in construction. They maybe have a degree, maybe they do not, and we can get them into that program, and they can go out in the field and start working in the job trailers and also in the office here as well. And then they can see, do I want to go the office route? Do I want to be a project engineer or a project manager? Or do I want to be a superintendent? And do I want to be a construction manager someday, where I get to actually be boots on the ground, reading plans, working with trade partners, and building the facilities and buildings that we're doing? So that there's a lot of opportunity in construction, and that's a great thing about ESI. I think that we've talked before about wanting to be on the leading edge, not the bleeding edge of innovation.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of innovation in construction right now. And some of that is just in learning how to build buildings and build people. And we're on the leading edge of that.
So to get these newer, I guess, students or younger individuals interested in trying it, is it safe to say that they would have some sort of mentor for the positions that they're going for? Is there people here that get involved to help them see it and give them that overall view of expectations and everything like that, so it can help them in their decision making? Because I mean, it's a big decision to go, do something, go pick. I mean, you can choose ESI and this is it. Like, you can retire here, and it's an amazing company. And I'm glad that you pointed out that it's not just out in the field, but it's also back office. This isn't just a back office. This office is huge.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's a lot to do here. Do you guys have mentorship programs, or is that built in?
Yeah, we have a mentorship program for the field and for the office. We'd partner you up with someone that maybe is a couple years ahead of you or several years ahead of you, and help lead you through becoming whatever that position is. In the field, we have a specific program through a field operations program, and both on the trade side and then also on the GC side. So you'd be partnered up with an individual that's maybe a few years more advanced. They'd walk you through kind of the tricks of the trade and teach you how to do things, read plans, daily reports, how to file RFIs. So that those are all pieces of the mentorship program. So you wouldn't be left on an island, or you wouldn't be out there trying to figure out how to do it. You'd have a resource. Or if you had questions, they'd do walks with you and point things out and let you know specific names of whatever it is, material or something, give you some tricks of the trade and teach you how to build and grow here at ESI.
Can I ask you a really vague question?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what do you feel like the future of construction looks like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think coming back to how we strip forms,
Yeah.
we'll always need resources and people doing the work. And it doesn't get done without leadership. It doesn't get done without some grit. It doesn't get done without some strategy, some planning, and communication. And it doesn't get done without relationships. So those will always be part of construction. How we build might change, and how we do, drywall is a great example. And there's robotics out there today that could probably drywall this whole building, maybe faster than we could as humans, definitely faster than Jarret and Lou could. But there's going to be some changes that I think that we're going to adapt to. I don't necessarily think that it's going to change how we have conversations and how we build relationships and how we communicate with our customers. That's still the most important part of what we do. How we build the building might change. How, physically how we do it, there might be some changes there. But again, coming back to how we strip forms, we still do it the same way that we did 100 years ago. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's not going to be something that changes in the next 10 to 15 or 20 years. But coming back to relationships, I just think that that's what's going to continue to be most important to what we do.
You're talking about some big topics right now that are popular, some hot topics.
Yeah.
And AI is definitely, people are slinging that word out there, AI everything. And, what is ESI's thoughts on technology? I mean, if you want to throw AI in there, that's fine, but just technology in general.
Yeah. Well, we have what we call our innovation lab, and we have an AI innovation strategy group that get together and can pressure test some of those new and upcoming technologies that are coming out. It's definitely a benefit to us to have that lab down there and to be investing in what could be, part of the future of construction. I think the biggest one right now is VDC and BIM modeling, and what you can do with drones and what you can do with laser scanning and setting up a building where we could put on virtual goggles, and essentially walk through this entire building with virtual imaging.
Cool.
Yeah, and we have that downstairs today. And we've got a team that works on that every day and puts buildings together virtually so that we can share those and walk through them with our customers. There's some other things that are out there, with robotics that can do daily reports, that can walk your job site and identify safety concerns, whether it's a floor opening or someone that doesn't have PPE on. You can do takeoffs, and you can do, essentially look at a building and tell you how many sheets of drywall you're going to need. So that's definitely helpful, and we're looking into what's the right thing for us today. Again, making sure that we're staying on the leading edge, not the bleeding edge. Making sure that we're getting the right software that meets what we do. We're very diverse, and we have a lot of really smart people that work here. So there's a lot of great ideas coming out, and so we have the team that filters through those and says, this is where we should focus our time and energy today. This is where we need to focus our attention this year. And let's make this part of our strategy for 2026, 2027, 2028, and continue to advance, but at the right speed and at the right pace. Not too fast to the point that we get out in front of ourselves, but fast enough that we can stay on the leading edge of it. So
that's strong. The robotics and all that is so cool.
Yeah.
I think maybe even a nugget for the marketing team is to go advertise to all those kids that are playing video games and obsessed with the video games. Show them that technology can be fun to play with at work, and that's how it's being used today to help build buildings.
Yeah.
It's almost like playing a game of what they're used to at home, so it makes it a lot of fun. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. When we just think about like our military,
Yeah,
and what's advanced in how we protect our country and how we protect our buildings, and some of the smartest people in the military are not out necessarily in the field. They're running a remote control in another country.
Good point. Yeah.
From where the drones are flying. I think some of our smartest people are still in the field in construction, though. And when I go out there, I'm just amazed at what our field does every single day and how they can accomplish what they can accomplish. Again, it comes back to those relationships And our most successful superintendents are those that have the best relationships with our trade partners and how they coordinate and communicate and work with each other and really build a team. And it's always amazing to me that you can have a 6-month project and how quickly they get that team built together and they win their Super Bowl by building an amazing building and turning it over to our customer and our customer loving what they did. So again, technology is great and the advancement of AI and robotics is impressive and I'm always amazed by it, but it comes back to the people that are doing the work, particularly the people that are in the field. So
you could go just randomly pick out one of the supers and say, hey, go coach that little league team. And they'll probably take them really far.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's really what it is they're just have really great leadership. And we've been fortunate to have them be part of our team as a construction superintendent. So when you think about the concept of construction and you take a green field that's maybe has unsuitable soils, that is, really muddy or really rocky, and we say we're going to put a 5-story building on there that's not going to fall over. It's a pretty interesting concept. And then you have to take the plans and actually go to work and use the yellow iron to move the earth and build the footings and stand the building and go vertical with it. Someone has to be out there and someone has to be taking quality into account and safety into account and making sure that our trade partners are showing up and completing their work on time. That takes someone that's really intelligent. And so we're super fortunate that we have a lot of those individuals out in the field right now. The other piece of this is equipment operators. We have a gal, Julia, that's just incredible. She's one of our best crane operators.
Oh, wow.
So she's out there at Micron, and she's just working hard every day to support that team. She does more than just run a crane, though. She's leading people, and she's communicating, and she has a strong presence about her, even though she's quiet, and how she handles herself. And so I think those are some great examples of robotics and AI is important. We need it. But at the end of the day, it still requires good quality people and people with strong leadership skills in order for us to do what we do and take a green, grassy field to an amazing building.
You said it's Julia?
Yeah, Julia.
Well, shout out to Julia.
Yeah.
Women in construction, it's needed.
Yeah,
it's needed.
Absolutely.
So I love to hear that you guys support that. I mean, you've said so many incredible things about ESI and the things that you're doing and the way that your culture is built. Is there anything that you would want to share? I mean, we have all different kind of listeners. We have, the younger listeners. We push out a big survey for She Builds Nation for the women in construction to help bring things to light for the women in construction as well. And then also we have, you might have some potential customers looking at this podcast, with all these things out there. Is there anything that you feel like you need to put out there for people to know about ESI outside of, the amazing culture that you guys have built?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that we're built on good people. We're built on a strong foundation with great leadership that's allowed us to get to where we are. We're focused on building a legacy. Where we are didn't just happen by accident over the last 52 years. It happened because people were intentional. It happened because someone believed in someone else, and we passed a torch to take on a new responsibility. And that's happening every day here, whether that's a carpenter that's been out in the field for a week, or a superintendent that's been here for 20 years, or an executive leader that's been here for 30. It's happening every day, and that's what's really exciting, is that we are focused on investing in people. And coming back to what we had talked about a little bit earlier, is our legacy is as important as your legacy. And so we want to help everybody that works here build their legacy. We want them to feel great about what they do. We want their friends and family to be excited to know that they work at ESI. And when they drive by a building or our office, they get to say, I'm part of that. And for people that they're with to say, that's so great, you get to be part of that. And it doesn't happen with one person, it happens with all of us. So, we're over 1,300 people now as an organization.
Wow.
So that's a little bit difficult at times to reach out to everyone and let them know how much we appreciate them. And so it really comes down to disseminating that leadership. We really believe in the extreme ownership concept and the dichotomy of leadership, and making sure that we share the disciplines of success, and that takes everybody at every level. So again, from the leadership that helps us every day to build this organization, to see the vision and the future of where we're going, to the superintendents that are in the field building the buildings right now, to the future of the carpenter that just started here yesterday. We need all of them, and we need continued investment in the trade and the workforce. The workforce is probably one of the most challenging things. We can talk about AI and robotics and where that's going. That's advancing quickly. What's not advancing quickly enough, in our opinion, is people that are educated and know how to build the buildings that the next generation coming up, we got to get them up to speed faster. We got to get them, involved in the trenches per se faster, so that they can take on the next opportunity and the next responsibility of continuing to build the industry and continue the industry that we get to be part of, have it be great. And that's important, that we have that investment in the next generation. So
the leadership team does a wonderful job of helping buy-in from new potential employees by seeing that career path. If they have that visual of like, hey, this could be the journey that I go on, and it looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like that's super powerful. So I'm glad that you guys actually take a lot of pride in what you do there. It's super important. Everything that you mentioned too, I mean, I'm heavily involved in trying to help out with, the labor shortage and figuring out ways to educate that next generation faster so that they can take on the responsibility of the next people that are about to retire. There's things that we have to do to kind of collaborate together so that we can help that next generation. I know that we are doing things behind the scenes to expedite that, but
yeah.
But I'm glad, and I hope more people look into ESI and what you guys are doing. If somebody needs to find ESI, I know you mentioned the website earlier. If you wouldn't mind repeating that, and then how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I think just go to our website, www.esiconstruction.com. We're based here in Meridian, Idaho. The other piece that we didn't talk about, is as far as our offices. We have an office in Eastern Idaho as well. We have an office in Northern Idaho. We have an office in Colorado, Golden, Colorado, which is our design firm.
Yeah.
We have an office in just outside of Portland, so in the Portland area. So we have opportunities throughout the country, really, and we have traveling superintendent openings. We have local superintendent openings, and then we have, obviously, support staff and office positions that are open through that website as well. So if you go to that website, it has everything you need to know about ESI, what we do, who we are, our vision, and where we're going, and then you can apply right there.
I think I'll switch around my comment that I made earlier about don't move to Idaho. I think if you're out of state and you want to work for ESI, then that's an exception. Then you can move to Idaho as long as you're working for ESI. It's funny. I was at a conference, and we were meeting with students to talk about an app that we launched, Builder Facts, about tracking license and certifications. And I asked them point blank, and I was thinking about ESI when I asked them this question. I said, hey, if there was an opportunity that came up where you could work for an amazing construction company and it was randomly in Idaho, would you relocate and build a life there? And just so you know, we were in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. And I asked two different students this exact same question. And they said, if that company could see that I was open for work with the Builder Facts app and reach out to me knowing that I wasn't working with a contractor today, I would move there in a heartbeat. Knowing that they're using technology to attract that next generation talent and bring us in, it just shows already, why wouldn't you go walk a tour of the location and get familiar with a potential employer like that? So I really feel like you guys are on the right track to attract that next talent of what you're doing kind of behind the scenes. But the opportunity to move to a wonderful location like Idaho or even Golden, Colorado. I mean, I'm big on snowboarding. You're not too far from the mountains when you're living in Golden, Colorado. So once you're off of work, playtime on the weekends is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to everything that you guys are doing and where you're located. But before we wrap up, no pressure here. You can say whatever you need to say. If you met somebody that was new to construction, maybe they're just getting into it, what advice would you have for that individual?
If you want to be part of an industry that you can have a career in and you can grow and you can, whether that's, raise a family or travel around the country, the opportunities are endless in the industry. And, I'm so fortunate that my dad was in it and got me into it. I'm so fortunate that, I was surrounded by great people that encouraged me and inspired me. The best mentors I've had have been in the industry. So, it's really about the people that are here in the industry. We mentioned it before, but it's a small industry. It really is a small industry. I was working with a customer just recently, and I mentioned, my name's Jeret Whitescarver, and he asked me, "You're not related to Steve Whitescarver, are you?" And we're 2,000 miles away from where my uncle lives, and he ran a rock plant, a batch plant in Washington. I said, "Yeah, that's my uncle." So that's just an example of really how small this industry is. And so if you want to be part of something, and make a splash in your community and make a difference in where you live and where you work and where you play, this is the industry to do it. And there's just great people, and that's really what excites me to come to work every day, is I get to work with great people, and that's what the industry is built on. So,
is it safe to say that anybody that's graduating college, high school, doesn't matter, they should consider construction first?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in my mind,
was that a softball?
Yeah. A little bit of a softball, but yeah, absolutely. I think, if you have an idea of what you want to do and you've got a little bit of downtime, a lot of the students that are graduating from high school now have these gap years that they're not really sure if they want to go on to school or if they want to join the military, which are great careers as well. And great, I guess the next steps, they're the great next steps in where you're headed. If you have any questions or you have some downtime, you should get into construction and come be some boots on the ground for us or somewhere else. But yeah, you should absolutely try it out, and it'll make you a better person, and it'll surround you by you'll be surrounded by great people who encourage you and mentor you.
I can attest to that. That was my life-changing moment, was when I got in construction. So I definitely can validate that comment. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Jarret, thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And everyone that's listening to this, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with everybody in the construction industry. And we will see you next time. Thank you. Thanks, Jarret.
Yep. Thank you.
If you're a construction contractor and would like to appear as a guest on our podcast, write us an email. It's lou@lumberfi.com.